而你都學過噶啦，梁 Sir 教 Courses 咪整 Pyruve 咯。咁啊睇清楚題目咯，因為我成日都提你哋噶啦，做題目最緊要係條題目啊，咁多位。咁多位大家好，我係梁 Sir。今日咧，我哋就嚟溫下一個非常之熱門嘅課題，就係呼吸作用 respiration 啦。咁啊，先睇下呢幅圖先啦。一個電子顯微鏡嘅圖像咧，就顯示咗一個線粒體。咁啊，嗱，基本功冇得妥協啦。喺個腦海入面啦，有翻呢個樣先啦。我哋有外膜啦、內膜啦、膜之間嘅空間啦，同埋線粒體入面嘅基質嘅。咁而家啦 Part A 咧，佢就問翻啦，喂 X 係乜嘢？嗱，都係嗰句啦，好習慣啦。X 係乜嘢 ？Y 係乜嘢？其實答呢一條題目嘅時候，我哋應該已經寫咗噶啦，因為佢唔係問你嘅功能，就係問你個名噶啦。咁第一部分就問緊個名啦，係咪？咁 Part A 咧都係留於一個 Level 1嘅題目嚟嘅啫，講一講究竟 X 係線粒體嘅邊一個部分？你見得到啦，係入面內籠嘅部分咧，咁自不然就係線粒體嘅基質啦。咁啊，實質 Y 係咩嚟嘅呢？ Y 實質就係個內膜嚟嘅 inner membrane。次就未問個名嘅，但係 Part B 就即刻問噶啦。咁呢一條題目啦，除咗問翻 Level 1嘅嘢啦，喂，究竟佢係咩部分啦？去到 Level 2咧，就自不然問下啦，究竟喺呢個位置發生緊嘅係呼吸作用嘅邊一個步驟呢？咁其實啦，喺整個線粒體當中，甚至整個細胞當中 cytoplasm 細胞質啦，線粒體嘅內膜 inner membrane 啦，線粒體嘅基質，呢三個部分你係一定要知道究竟有咩嘅過程喺當中發生嘅。好啦，去到 Part B 就要我哋描述下喺個 Y 嘅呢個結構一個可以觀察到嘅特徵。過往嘅題目都有問過類似嘅嘢，可以觀察嘅特徵，例如個氣囊啦 air sac， 嚟個絨毛啦 villi 啦，諸如此類，就要解釋下呢個結構係如何同個線粒體嘅功能有關係，其實即係適應性特徵。咁 Y 係咩嚟嘅呢？就係內膜啦，又或者我哋講嘅 crystal 啦，或者 crystal 啦。咁啊，呢幅圖我相信大家都有啲印象噶啦。內膜有咩咁特別啊？就係高度嘅接曲，係咪啊？咁題目啦，要考我哋嘅概念就係適應性特徵啦。而呢個適應性特徵將個結構同個功能拉上關係，係乜嘢功能啊？自不然就係需氧呼吸啦。咁啊，因為喺線粒體入面啦，我哋有兩大個基本嘅程序。第一個啦就係線粒體基質所去發生嘅克雷帕氏循環，即係 Krebs cycle 啦。另一個啦就係喺個內膜 inner membrane 所去發生嘅氧化磷酸化 oxidative phosphorylation 啦。咁究竟而家我哋望到阿 Y 嘅呢個結構同佢個功能有咩嘅關係咯？咁 crystal 或者所謂嘅內膜咧，其實就好似我哋個山脊一樣，即係總之就係呢個接曲面嚟嘅。你答唔到 crystal 唔緊要嘅，起碼知道係內膜先啦。咁呢個內膜啦，我哋要答嘅第一可以觀察到嘅，自不然就係高度嘅接曲啦。有好多 infolding 啦，而佢嘅適應性就係增加表面積，做乜嘢啊？承載住多啲嘅電子嘅載體啦，或者酶啦，為咗乜嘢啊？題目問功能啊嘛 ，functioning of mitochondrion part 你可以講嘅 aerobic respiration 可以接受，氧化磷酸化可以接受，製造 ATP 都可以接受。除咗啦，喂，我走去答克雷帕氏循環 Krebs cycle 得唔得啊？咁梗係錯啦，因為 Krebs cycle 係喺 matrix 嗰度發生噶嘛，係咪？咁今年考生表現又唔係咁好嘅，因為部分同學咧都只不過講翻個結構嘅特徵，但就冇諗翻個功能，甚至乎啦，成日寫得好籠統地就咁樣叫做呼吸作用 respiration， 就冇講到明係 aerobic 嘅 respiration。嗱，咁過往咧都有唔少呢啲適應性特徵嘅題目噶，咁啊快啲睇下片溫下書咯。咁我哋去 Part C 之前咧，又多一樣嘢想講嘅，就係咧而家呢一幅圖咧，咁佢左下角就俾咗個比例你啦，係咪？咁你他日啦可以度下呢一條黑線有幾長，然後啦再同翻呢個50個 nanometer 去除一除，咁你知得到啦，究竟呢幅圖放大咗幾多啦？又或者啦，今次咧就叫你度下 A 同 B 嘅距離，然後啦又問翻你，咁究竟呢幅圖放大咗幾多呢？咁其實都係可以去問下你嘅。咁啊，大家有少少心理準備計下數咯。跟住去到Part C啦。 化學物質 C 咧就能夠抑制到喺個 X 入面揾到嘅酶。咁 X 咁頭先問咗你啦，就係線粒體嘅基質啦。咁究竟係咩嘅過程啊？ Part 1就係直接了當咁問你啦。究竟係邊一個步驟俾人抑制咗啊？其實呢一個睇病學 bio 嚟嘅啫嘛，兜個圈嚟問你啊，有隻化學物質抑制咗喺個 matrix 入面嘅 enzyme。咁究竟係咩嘅步驟受到抑制？其實就即係問緊你喺個 matrix 入面發生緊咩事。呢幅圖我相信大家都有印象噶啦，喺個 mitochondrion matrix 或者線粒體基質入面發生嘅分別就係 link reaction 同埋 Krebs cycle， 係咪？答案是但一個都可以啦，抑制咗 pyruvate 丙酮酸變成 acetyl-CoA， 又或者抑制咗克雷帕氏循環 Krebs cycle 完成。然後去到第二部分啦，又係答得差嘅。咁個題目就問啦，當我哋加咗呢款化學物質落去一個植物嘅細胞嘅時候，究竟會如何去影響咗個呼吸嘅途徑呢？其實呢條題目呢，同2012年係好似嘅，所以我成日話2024年呢，同2012年呢，好似一個鏡像嘅倒影嚟嘅。咁所以你問我2025年做下咩題目好呢？可能做下2013年嘅題目都不為過啊。咁其實想當年就係話啫嘛，有一啲藥物或者化學物質就能夠抑制咗 glycolysis 糖酵解、Krebs cycle 同埋 oxidative phosphorylation 呢三個步驟，但係抑制邊個步驟唔知，就俾翻呢啲產物嘅水平俾你去睇下嘅。咁就過往都係考緊呢啲嘢啫嘛，係咪？咁呢條題目啦，要考我哋嘅呢，其實就係因果關係，加咗呢個化學物質對我哋整個呼吸途徑有咩嘅影響？因呢，其實就係抑制咗 link reaction 同埋抑制咗 Krebs cycle， 而嗰個果呢，就係改變咗個呼吸途徑。咁有咩呼吸途徑俾我改變呢？咁呢度呢，我哋就要去諗一諗啦。究竟喺個植物細胞當中有啲乜嘢嘅呼吸途徑可以俾我哋影響到咯？咁基礎概念啦，根據第一部分我哋知得到啦，喺個基質入面 link reaction 啦 ，Krebs cycle 已經停止咗啦。咁其實仲有啲咩嘅過程我哋需要考慮下？第一就係 oxidative phosphorylation 氧化磷酸化，其實都係進行唔到嘅，因為啦嗰啲 NADH 啊、FADH 啊，其實都整唔到。咁如果都整唔到嘅話，咁仲有冇 NADH 或者 FADH 落到去氧化磷酸化呢個步驟啊？咁梗係冇啦。仲有啦，就係糖酵解 glycolysis 仍然能夠發生。所以答案呢，就係以下將要講嘅任何3組啦。但係留意，我係講緊一組嘅。咁點樣答呢個題目先唔驚答漏破呢？咁呢條題目呢，想當年表現係差嘅。咁啊，因為大家呢答得唔夠謹慎啊。作為一個呼吸途徑，咁你話咯，某某過程做唔到咪算數咯？未夠，你要答嘅係2樣嘢。第一，究竟係呼吸嘅途徑邊個途徑做到或者做唔到？而當中會產生咗啲咩嘅產物？佢係產生唔到或者係產生到？先去留意下衰氧呼吸嘅呼吸途徑有冇咩嘅改變先啦。第一，糖酵解仍然做到嘅 glycolysis， 即係話佢仍然能夠產生 pyruvate 丙酮酸。留意下你嘅答案應該係成句去寫，某某過程發生到能夠產生某款嘅產物，所以 glycolysis proceeded as usual to produce pyruvate， 一句過短句作答就搞掂啦。係要兩者都有喎。如果你淨係答糖酵解呢，你就唔好同我拗咯。哎呀，明明糖酵解呢，就意味住整到 pyruvate 噶啦，而你都學過噶啦，梁 Sir glycolysis 咪整 pyruvate 咯。咁即係話你答題目，你求其答一隻字得啦，個 marker 會同你諗嘅，冇可能噶嘛。我哋係唔會幫你諗噶。第二啦 ，pyruvate 係唔能夠入到去個 Krebs cycle 俾我哋去做分解噶，啦就唔會產生 NADH 啦，亦都唔會產生 FADH 啦。咁所以啦，又要有兩者都要齊咯。即係個 pyruvate 係唔能夠變成 acetyl-CoA 都得嘅。咁總之就係話有啲嘢發生唔到，咁當中有冇咩產物係應用喺其中嘅呢？咁基於克雷帕氏循環 Krebs cycle 做唔到啦，咁其實我哋都唔能夠再去令到個 CoA 再生整翻出嚟，去令到個 pyruvate 丙酮酸咧去變成 acetyl-CoA， 所以啦呢個步驟都係做唔到嘅。然後啦就去到 oxidative phosphorylation 都發生唔到，所以啦亦都整唔到 ATP 啦。 咁所以記緊個邏輯就係先有途徑後有產物，係要兩者皆講。咁而家橙色呢個表呢，就講需氧呼吸嘅。咁但係我哋學過兩類型嘅呼吸噶嘛，一個係需氧，另一個就係缺氧啦。咁對於一個植物細胞又有冇嘢做到呢？然個植物細胞就能夠做到 anaerobic pathway 啦，缺氧呼吸，又或者酒精發酵就會發生啦。產生出嚟嘅就係 pyruvate 丙酮酸變成酒精同埋二氧化碳。咁有唔少同學呢，就係寫一半唔寫一半啊，就話丙酮酸能夠產生到酒精，就忘記咗整呢個二氧化碳，咁所以整個文字方程式呢，就係呢一度啦。咁下次嘅題目呢，就可以問下你咯。咁如果呢款化學物質加咗落去一個骨骼肌嗰處，咁又會有啲咩嘅轉變呢？咁就可想而知啦。嗱，樓上呢應該都冇變嘅，需氧呼吸都係 Krebs cycle 啊、link reaction 啊、oxidative phosphorylation 啊受影響噶啦。糖酵解 glycolysis 仍然發生到嘅，但係個缺氧呼吸有冇唔同咗呢？咁你又喺留言區留低你嘅答案，睇下你嘅概念清唔清？好，又嚟到一點出發啦。今次嘅題目呢，就由線粒體開始啦，就考翻我哋適應性特徵啦，同埋呼吸途徑嘅適應性特徵啦。講到口臭噶啦，呼吸作用又有，光合作用又有，過往唔同嘅結構啊、組織啊、細胞器啊都有。咁啊，睇翻概念整合法嗰段片啦。咁過往其實都有大把題目呢，係問過適應性特徵嘅，俾多一次你哋睇啦。細胞膜啊、葉綠體啊、氣囊啊、血管啊、木質導管啊、人皮導管啊，大把有得你溫。呢啲概念你溫清楚未呢？未溫清楚嘅，快手喺呢一兩個禮拜背一背咗佢啦，唔該。然後啦，就去到呼吸途徑啦，係嗰兩個噶啦，需氧呼吸、缺氧呼吸。咁有邊一啲嘅過程係同個線粒體有關係噶？就梗係需氧呼吸啦，因為缺氧呼吸淨係做糖酵解 glycolysis 喺個細胞質 cytoplasm 就發生到噶啦嘛，係咪？咁呢兩個過程啦，有冇啲咩嘅比較呢？其實今次咧都係考緊你啲比較噶。某某過程進行唔到啦，咁點算啊？邊個需要氧氣啊？邊個放嘅能量多與少啊 ？NADH、FADH 嘅產生，邊個能夠產生多一啲啊？咁呢啲都係比較嚟噶。今次 Part C 第二部分個表現係咁差呢，係因為有部分嘅同學呢，佢就當咗係比較題咁樣答啊。佢就純粹就話啦，哎呀，呼吸途徑嘅轉變啊，就整少咗能量咯。需氧呼吸咧就能夠釋放多啲能量嘅，缺氧呼吸咧就釋放少啲能量嘅，就好似答咗題目啦，亦都冇提及嗰個改變。係咪啊？邊條路做到，邊條路做唔到，或者有啲咩整到，或者有啲咩整唔到，咁你都要答翻噶嘛？係咪？結合呢兩個概念呢，就問抑制咯。咁啊，今次就叫 Chemical C 啦。咁過往題目呢，木薯呢一條呢，就講山埃啦，其實都係抑制咗呼吸作用嘅某一啲嘅步驟噶。咁其實題目咪逐個問咯。抑制咗糖酵解會點啊？抑制咗 link reaction， 抑制咗個克雷帕氏循環啊？抑制咗個氧化磷酸化又會有咩嘅後果啊？咁其實1、2年都問過你啦，即係話大家要識啦，係咪？好似呢，今次答呼吸作用呢個題目咁樣啦，有啲咩受質參與喺其中，有啲咩嘅產物係會俾人整咗出嚟，咁大家都係要留意嘅。呢條題目啦，有咩嘅變奏呢？咁梗係又講下適應性特徵啦，係咪？粗糙內質網啊、絨毛啊、晶狀體啊、針狀葉啊、小腸啊，佢哋有乜嘢嘅適應性特徵，同埋要解釋下呢個適應性特徵對佢嘅功能有咩嘅關係啦。嗱，今次呢個題目呢，就純粹叫 state and explain， 跟住就 adaptive feature of blah 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 啦。咁通常佢都會加埋 for 乜嘢嘅 ，for 乜嘢呢？就係嗰個功能嚟啦。咁啊，睇清楚題目咯，因為我成日都提你哋噶啦，做題目最緊要係條題目啊，咁多位。Hello student, I'm Mr. Leung. So in this video, we are going to do the revision for a very hot topic, which is the respiration. You can see the diagram showing an electron micrograph of a mitochondrion. So you can see the structure X and structure Y, and with the good practice, surely we need to do the labeling, the naming first, because the question either asks you the name or asks you the function or the adaptive features. This time, in your mind, you should have this diagram. And so we have the inner membrane, outer membrane, intermembrane space, and the mitochondrial matrix. So for part A, label X. So level 1 question is that asks you to identify various parts of a mitochondrion. And for level 2, you need to realize the exact location for the specific stage of the respiration. Let's say we have the inner membrane. So what is the specific stage of respiration taking place here? Or mitochondrial matrix, which stage of respiration takes place? Something like this. So for structure X, surely mitochondrial matrix. And then for part B, describe one observable feature of structure Y and explain how this feature is related to the functioning of the mitochondria. So last year, this question, the candidate performance is so poor, so I will explain why. So for structure Y, surely we do the labeling first, which is the inner membrane or the crista or cristae. So you can see that the inner membrane highly folded, this structure, and it also can be seen in this diagram, right? So for this question, we need to realize the adaptive features of a mitochondrion for aerobic respiration, and then realize the significance of this feature to the functioning of the mitochondria, especially why I need to talk about the aerobic respiration, not just respiration, but specifically aerobic one. This question, you can find that in last year, 223, we have very similar idea. It asks you the structure of the mitochondrion, so the crystal is just like this folding part of a mountain. And let's take a look at the answer. For the observable features, surely we can see that the inner membrane forms infolding, or they are highly folded, just like in the textbook. And then we need to talk about the adaptation for the function. As what I mentioned that for the mitochondrion, surely we need to talk about the aerobic respiration. But what is the adaptive features is that infolding, highly folded, to increase the surface area for holding more enzymes or electron carriers. For what? For aerobic respiration, for oxidative phosphorylation, or for ATP synthesis. So you can refer that all this function, oxidative phosphorylation, ATP synthesis, it refers to the function of the inner membrane. So what if you mention the wrong stage? For example, you say that increased surface area to hold more enzymes for what? For Krebs cycles. No, you're wrong, because you may talk about the correct feature, but you mention the wrong function, and you can see that functioning is also one part of the answer. So read the question carefully. And then before we move on to part C, I wanted to mention one more thing. So you can see that in this diagram, on the left bottom corner, you can see the scale, a particular length. It represents the 50 nanometer. So maybe next time it can ask you for the whole diagram, what is the magnification scale? Or it can ask you to measure the length of A to B and then give you a particular length for this mitochondrion and then ask you the magnification power of the microscope. So beware of the calculation in biology. And then we move on to part C. It says that chemical Z can inhibit an enzyme found in X, that means in the mitochondrial matrix. And then for part 1, which key process of respiration would be inhibited? So you can understand the question is just asking what is the key process taking place in mitochondrial matrix. So I think that this diagram, you should be familiar with this. So in the mitochondrial matrix, we have link reaction and the Krebs cycle. Therefore, inhibition of the conversion of pyruvate into acetyl coenzyme A, or the inhibition of the Krebs cycle. And this part is just like the 2012 question, paper 1B question 9. Two drugs X and Y may inhibit enzyme involved in glycolysis, Krebs cycle, or oxidative phosphorylation. So you can see that very similar question. Part 2, the performance of the candidates is also poor. Chemical Z is added to a plant cell culture. So in this question, it's checking us the skills to explain the cause and effect relationship. So the cause is that we add the chemical Z to inhibit the enzyme found in the mitochondrial matrix, means the inhibition of link reaction or Krebs cycle. And then what will be the effect? It will be the change of the respiratory pathway. So the concept checking is about the consequence of the respiratory pathway in a plant cells. Let's go through this diagram again. What if the link reaction and the Krebs cycles, they are inhibited? So any other process can the plant cell keep doing, keep carrying out. So for the oxidative phosphorylation, it cannot be carried out at all because without the link reaction, without the Krebs cycle, there are no NADH or FADH production. There will be no oxidative phosphorylation. So what about the glycolysis? Oh yes, it can still take place. So the answer will be any three pairs of the following points. But for this question, why the performance is so poor? Because the student, they just focus on the pathway, just the name of the pathway, link reaction, Krebs cycle, glycolysis, oxidative phosphorylation, but they did not mention the products should be two parts. One part is about the respiratory pathway, and the second part should be the products formation. Therefore, for the aerobic respiration, glycolysis proceeds as usual to produce pyruvate. Secondly, pyruvate cannot be metabolized through the Krebs cycles. Therefore, no NADH, no FADH will be produced. And because the Krebs cycle, it is inhibited, therefore, no coenzyme A is regenerated for the conversion of pyruvate to acetyl-coenzyme A. Or you can say that the pyruvate cannot be converted into acetyl-coenzyme A is also fine. Thirdly, for the oxidative phosphorylation was inhibited. Therefore, the ATP synthesis is also inhibited. So after we talk about the aerobic respiration, so how about the anaerobic respiration? In the plant cells, is there any specific anaerobic respiration pathway we can talk about? Surely, we can talk about the anaerobic pathway or the alcoholic fermentation. They will be carried out to convert the pyruvate into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Some students, they may just mention the alcohol, but they forgot to talk about carbon dioxide. So that's also the reason for the poor performance. So any possible question variation. If the chemical Z is added to the skeletal muscle culture, how would this lead to any change of the respiratory pathway? So you can leave your answer in the comment section to see your concept is clear or not. So let's talk about the curriculum mapping. This question, we talk about the mitochondrion, and then it asks you about the adaptive features and the respiratory pathway. For the adaptive features, surely this time we talk about the respiration, maybe next time photosynthesis. So you can refer to the video that for the adaptive features, there are lots of variation about the organelles, tissues, organs, just like the cell membrane, corpus, air cell, blood vessel, sinus vessel, foramen vessel, a lot, ligament, tendon, a lot. So you can watch the video to do the revision. And then for the respiratory pathways, surely aerobic and anaerobic respiration. And then we need to do the comparison. What about the energy release? What about the need of the oxygen? What about the NAD or FAD production by these two processes? And the difference and similarity between them. And for this question, it also asks us about the inhibition of the enzyme, right? This time we talk about the chemical Z, and last year 2023 it asks you the cyanide. It also inhibits the respiration. So when we are talking about the inhibition of the particular reaction or particular metabolic activities, so we need to talk about the enzymes and we need to talk about the substrate and the product as well. Just like in this question, we talk about the respiratory pathway and then we talk about the product. Can they be formed or not? So any possible question variation for this question, apart from the adaptive features of the mitochondrion, we can ask the other structures or the tissues, rough ER, villi, lens, needle shape, leaves, and the small intestine. So beware of that. When the question asks you the adaptive features, there should be a particular statement, say that for something something. And for something something, it means for the function. For example, for the food absorption, for the protein synthesis, for focusing the light on the retina a lot. So read the question carefully.